All right, guys, welcome in. Weekend update presented by our friends at CoolBet, and we're hoping that they're still with us because last night we went at them again, and I'm not sure if they're bankrupt. I mean, we haven't heard from them all day, so we're gonna.
Well, they took my money. They took my money.
Did. Honestly, they might have just transferred it from your account to mine.
And I literally I came out guns a-blazing. I was so positive going into my.
Oh my God, Chad. Anyway, is it getting to the point where we're becoming Stewie from the Family Guy episode and the "Where's my money? Where's my money"?
Yeah,
is that how it's happening?
Seriously, yeah. But you know what? Like, it was great, and we obviously we sent them a little Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, Sweet Chin music. I don't know if you guys saw that on Instagram. It was pretty sweet, and yeah. But I shouldn't be this happy today, and you guys obviously know why. But baseball season officially started at about 9:30 last night when the Penguins got eliminated, and it hurt a little bit. It did, but I was over it in probably the second period when they went on that little run to they scored 3 quick ones. So I got
eliminated. Did they get eliminated last night, Shane, or is that you're just calling it?
No, they're done, man. That's it.
Are they done? Oh
yeah.
Shit!
I mean, they've already set the Islanders and Bruins game 1 is Saturday, so.
I guess we strike again, Nate. When I said they were going to take that friggin' series, we just got to stop talking any team up, man. Just period.
Here's the thing. It wasn't that the Penguins played poorly. It's that they have a piece of Swiss cheese for a goalie, and the guy literally was playing dodgeball in net. I've never seen anything like it. It was absolutely embarrassing. And he gave away, I'm going to say, at least 3 of the games. So even with like mediocre goalie, they would have been fine. So I'm going to throw all that out the window. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you think that this Islander style that Liam was talking about on Wednesday is that the new style? Or did we just meet a hot goalie?
You met a hot goalie and your goalie couldn't save shit.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
I think you met a really... Yeah. You met a really hot goalie, a divisional opponent that you've been playing all season. You guys just got each other's number. That's all it really came down to, I think.
Well, and like to me, like when Liam said it the other day, and we're not talking about our Liam, we're talking about hockey Liam. He said that the Islander style is going to be what it is, and this is kind of how hockey's going, and they're so good at defense. Like, bullshit. The Penguins had like 90 shots in the last 2 games. It's Sorokin was standing on his head, and even when they broke down and they were able to get lots of shots on him, the guy was there. I mean, you can't beat a guy like that. So I don't think that the Islanders are very good.
There's one every playoff, right?
Yeah, this is me being bitter and pissed off.
One goaltender every playoffs it takes off. Bennington a couple of years ago. This year, if he continues down because he's fairly unknown coming into the playoffs, doesn't play this well. If he continues playing even remotely close to that, then his name is certainly going to be known for sure. Tough matchup next round, though. Let's be realistic.
Yeah,
that's a
Taylor
very
Hall, right?
good series to watch.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody can beat him, it's going to be Taylor Hall.
Fuck you.
But
I don't know why I hate the guy so much.
But yeah, I mean,
just a good old Canadian kid.
The Penguins are in for a big change this offseason. I'm not sure that they're going to fire the coach, but I think that there's there's probably a pretty good chance that he gets fired. I don't know. Like they're not going to blow up Crosby, Malkin, Letang because like those aren't the guys to get rid of. But they need to get bigger and they need to eliminate some of their smaller skill players. So don't be surprised if like a Zach Aston Reese or like a Jake Gensel get moved for somebody that's a little bit bigger to play in front of the net. Because even when Crosby was getting rocked around the net, like Crosby's the only one going to the net. He gets cross-checked into the ice and no one even grabs the guy and punches him in the fucking mouth. Like that's kind of what that's when I knew they gave up. So I mean, if they gave up, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. Yeah. But anyway,
welcome to golf season now, Shane.
Well, I mean, the Blue Jays finally started, and we'll get into them a little bit later. But quick thoughts on how the Islanders and Bruins series is going to go.
It's going 7. No way it doesn't.
I was thinking Boston in 6.
Ooh.
And I'm going to say Boston in 5 because you know what? Like I said, I don't think that the Islanders outplayed the Penguins in any way. I think that Tristan Jarry, again, who's not going to be the goalie next year, that guy's going to get fucking cut. If Tristan Jarry played average, then it would be Penguins Bruins, and that's kind of what I wanted to see. But the Bruins have guys that will get in front of the net, and they have size. So that little Islander style that they thought was, that Liam thinks is the new NHL, like bullshit. But anyway, let's go on.
How do you really feel about the loss, Shane? I can see it now.
Yeah, no, I'm furious about it, and I'm furious not because that they lost, but because of losing in that kind of a fashion. I think is, I don't know, it's tough to watch as a fan, and watching Crosby get smashed into the ice from behind and no one come to his rescue, like that was a bitch.
Yep.
Anyway, let's
big
go on.
breath. Here we go. We're on to better things now, right?
A little bit of happier news. So, Kaylin, you're gonna like this because I know you're a card collector.
Yes.
So, Chad was actually just talking about this before we came on. So maybe you know what? I'm gonna give it to Chad because he might know a little bit more about it. I just wrote down the quick thought that he said. So, Chad, go ahead.
So it was earlier this week. Wayne Gretzky's rookie card sold for $3.7 million.
That's ridiculous.
The sad part is, I know probably somewhere at my parents' house, in a shoebox, completely unprotected, I could have a Wayne Gretzky card.
Isn't that crazy? $3.7 million for a hockey player.
Yeah, and the guy
he's the hockey player.
Yeah, the guy that sold it probably just needed a down payment to buy a house in Ontario.
In London, yeah, he needed one just in the upstart area of North London here, right? Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it goes hand in hand. It sells that card $3.7 million. Moving on from the Oilers this year into TNT to becoming a new broadcaster over there. Lots of things happening for Big Wayne, right?
Well, would you want your name associated with the Edmonton Oilers anymore?
When I saw the news come out, like he didn't even wait an evening. He didn't wait for the sun to go down before announcing that he was leaving the organization, right?
Yeah, and McDavid's next. They're like, "Fuck it, we're out."
That's right.
Wayne's why I was here. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Oilers aren't going to say like it's time to move on from McDavid, but is McDavid going to be like the first hockey player to put his foot in the ground and just be like, "Yeah, get me out of here"? Because like we watched it in every other sport now.
I mean, I feel in the background there's been a few players that have said that in Edmonton that just never came out about it. Over the last decade specifically.
Yeah, like Jordan Eberle. Yeah, okay. So he's moved on to the Islanders. He's doing okay over there. Yeah. Wasn't Taylor Hall out there?
Yeah, Taylor Hall was out there.
He's on to bigger and better things. He heard that winning playoff games was important. And tonight we got well, I guess by the time this goes out, it's not going to be Game 5, but the Leafs are trying to close out the first series win in 17 years, I think I saw.
And they're doing a great job of fucking it up right now.
Are they?
Man. Yeah.
In Leafs fashion.
They're having a tough time. There's no way that the Habs come back and win this series, and that's not going to help Chad tonight for his cool bet. But so we do think that the Leafs are going to go on, and I don't know if you guys saw it today, but John Tavares is back on the ice.
I did see that.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
and that means they're saying he's going to be back this playoff, which is ridiculous.
And that's what I was going to ask you is like, there's no way he's playing in this series, but peeking ahead, because we're not in the game, peeking ahead, we can peek ahead at the series against the Jets. I think that they could use him against the Jets.
Oh, certainly.
And like this guy should be drinking from a straw.
Yeah. It's crazy how loose he was skating out there today. Like he didn't have any mobility issues, it looked like. Now, of course, the noggin's a totally different story. We don't have any real understanding about what that's all about. But the knee injury that he had happened to him there, that doesn't look like it really is going to affect him. Now, was he playing at game speed? No, but he was still crossing the legs and he was putting some power into his stride. So that's promising for sure. The head is going to be another thing, right?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I think that if the Leafs can go deep enough, that he'll be back for probably the later part of that Jet series, or even into the following one, assuming that they can get to that point. But the only thing that the Leafs could hope for now is that Connor Hellebuck's hot streak dies while he's sitting on the couch.
Yeah, really. Well, I mean, I'd be very worried for John going back into the game though with Tavares, because like with the Crosby thing, right? We talked about that earlier, his concussion, and the first hit was pretty bad, but the second hit wasn't even really that bad. It was what took him out. This could another simple check to the boards. That could be it for another year for JT, right? So they really do have to be cautious about the way they're going to bring him back and how they're going to utilize him. His minutes, if he does come back, they may get crunched a little bit, and that's only just to protect the guy for the first series back, especially against a team like Winnipeg, who are deep and they like to hit.
Yeah.
I just want to know what doctor's going to sign off on something like that. Like, your credibility is gone out the window if he goes out there and gets tapped and it happens all over again.
Yep.
Was it Alec Baldwin that played the doctor in the movie Concussion?
Was it?
I've never seen Concussion. Wow. I've never seen Concussion.
You got to go see it, Chad. I know that it stresses you out, but
yeah. I'm not watching that shit, man. I don't need to know.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, but no, it's a decent movie. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, we don't want to put the cart before the horse, because after all, like, if there's any team that can blow a 3-1 lead in a series, it's probably Toronto. So let's move on to something more fun. And I know Kaylin's probably gonna have a little bit of fun with this. And we talked about it the last episode as well. But the Julio Jones trade seems like it's imminent now.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a report that it's going to be early next week. Schrager came out, Peter Schrager, and I would trust that guy's opinion. He says it's not going to happen until at least June 1st, which makes a lot of sense for cap considerations. But now that we know that they're not actually looking for a first-round pick, does this put more teams into the mix?
I think it has to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there a team out there that shouldn't be after him?
Tampa Bay.
That's honestly probably the only team.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I don't even think that Dallas really does need him. So I would say Dallas doesn't need him. I know I might get some heat for saying that, but they have a lot of receivers there and they have youth. So potentially they could be okay.
Well, I think that Julio Jones is trying to go to a contender as well, so I don't think that Dallas is necessarily the fit.
Mm-hmm.
I still do think Tennessee does make sense, as much as I don't want to give Kalen anybody. It's like I said, it's to me that, and then when you brought up Buffalo, I didn't even think of that place. And that's another place that seems like a logical place for him to go. And if you're giving up a late 2, you're actually not giving up that much.
Right.
And a late 2 or it'd be tough to give up a late 3, I think, for him, which I still don't think any receiver who's that old coming off injury-plagued seasons is worth more than a 3. But I think a place like Buffalo or Tennessee, if they had to give up a 2, it wouldn't set them back, because that guy probably isn't starting right away. So I do like those 2 landing spots, and they were both yours that you brought up. As far as, like I said, I think I said Washington, dude. I still think that's an option as well. But a lot of guys like playing for Fitzpatrick because he just throws the ball.
You see him having fun out there during the spring?
He's always having fun.
Yeah.
Running around with a big old smile on his face, and he says, I can switch teams so easy because I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
Love him. How could you not have that guy on your team and be excited about it? Right?
I don't know, man. I know that this makes no sense, but last year I talked a lot about the Denver Broncos, and I think that Aaron Rodgers and Julio Jones are going to Denver.
Gosh.
I know that's a tough pill to swallow.
It's just an ugly division. Like we talked about the NFC West being crazy last year. If even one of those 2 players land in that team, that division's freaking insane. You have potential. The rookie of the year. You've got the Chiefs, the Raiders. I mean, are always a long shot for anything, but they always have promise. But the Broncos, like we talked about, are not that far off, especially if they grab one of those 2 players or both. That division's a gauntlet. My God.
Right. And do you think that, going back to Tennessee, do you think that Tannehill has the arm to get it for the way Julio Jones plays?
Certainly.
You think so?
I
Yeah.
think it's more just that he can. I don't think he has to be the deep threat there, and I think that's like he can do the back shoulders, he can do the underneath stuff, he can do the intermediate routes with his body size. He can just box safeties out going across the middle, and once again, I'll let AJ Brown get single covered.
Yeah, we still don't have a burner in Tennessee. The burner that we did have was Khalif Raymond, who signed with Detroit, actually. So we don't have much speed. Today, Darrington Evans, who was the backup running back last year, practiced at wide receiver today. That's just, I think that might be a New England thing, get people cross-trained, and that's what Vrabel talked about. But we don't have speed at receiver. We have very decent route runners. Josh Reynolds is there now, but there's nobody that's going to be taking the top off of any team. So Corey Davis didn't do it last year. We were still okay.
Yeah.
It's upsetting that I'm not going to be able to see those deep shots because that is what football is all about now. But I'm okay watching it if Derrick Henry's going to have 130 yards a game too.
Right. Well, and that was going to be my next question is there enough balls for Julio, AJ Brown, and Derrick Henry?
Well, AJ's the one who's been, I think, the biggest supporter of this trade since it first came out last week, trying to get the guy to come there. Derrick Henry
he statistically goes down on a contract year.
Well, yeah, but he even said what he says he sent a voice memo, and in the voice memo he said to him, "You want to carry the load, you can carry the load. If you need a couple of plays off or some time off, I can carry it for you," kind of thing. So I think that he's with the understanding that if it's his favorite player, he grew up watching, and he's been very open about that. It's his favorite player. There's a reason why he wears number 11. If he can have his favorite player come and play with him, he's willing to sacrifice that, I think. And honestly, guys, I'm gonna beat this drum. If they need to sign this guy to a contract for life, I've never seen a player get on the horn, for the Tennessee Titans anyway, get on the horn and start trying to recruit the way that he has done from the get-go. Since he's been there, he's been excited about anybody that comes there. He's always tweeting at people to try and get to join the team. I love him. I think he might be a lifetime Titan, man, and I'm excited for it. Derek went training with him in the offseason. I think that they're having that kind of conversation too. But at the same time, that's a very potent offense. There's a lot of balls that can go around in an offense like that. If Derek only has to carry it 18 instead of 30 times a game, he's already cracked the 2,000 mark. He's one of the best team players I think that we've seen come up in the last few years. He doesn't care about his stats. He just wants to win. That's all he cares about. So he's cool with that. But
yeah, everyone's happy until you start losing, right?
He's already got paid. Yeah. It's just AJ.
Yeah, well, he got paid first, but he hasn't got paid a lot. But yeah, go ahead, Chad.
And I think with the Julio thing, I don't think Julio wants the ball as much. I think he's going to get paid regardless. He's made his money. I really do think he wants to go somewhere and just be the other guy. That being said, he's still going to get 60 touches. He's going to have 60 catches wherever he goes. AJ Brown, I could see him being an 80 guy with a guy like Julio there. For the simple fact that he's the amount of single coverage he'll get. And you're worried about blowing the top off, Caitlin. I think with Julio running intermediate routes, safeties are going to have to respect that and step down. And now you have AJ Brown going one-on-one across the middle, AJ Brown with deep post routes and skinny flies, stuff like that, taking seam routes, taking the inside shade on a corner. And I'll take AJ Brown on a one-on-one ball against most corners. So I don't think you have to worry about the deep shot there when you have a receiver like Julio Jones that could bring so much attention to himself. So I think we would still see that there.
It's an exciting time to be a Titans fan. Don't get to say it very often, but the last 3 years have been pretty fun.
Until Wildcard Weekend, it will be, yeah. Well, another guy that's kind of, he's bounced around the league a little bit, but I had pretty high hopes for him last year was Todd Gurley. I was actually a little bit surprised to see that he was still a free agent. Yeah. I just kind of assumed that he was an under-the-radar signing that we'd figure out during the fantasy draft who he actually played for. But he went and visited with the Lions today. So what do you guys think of that?
Just shows the Lions are desperate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have running back. They have DeAndre Swift, right? I don't think that those two dudes were on the same team together. I mean, I would hope not anyway, but
no, Gurley's long gone. He might not have graduated, but he was definitely long gone.
He might have been the guy that helped him in the recruiting. He maybe led his tour or something on campus.
But yeah, no, I think it just shows they're desperate to get some running back help there. They need anything at this point. Him and Goff have a relationship. I think it's more of a safety blanket for Jared Goff than I think it is for the actual Detroit Lions. he's almost there to be a coach on the field. He'll understand the calls. He understands how Goff works. He can teach Swift those things as well. And I think that's more of a mentor role than it is him to actually go there and produce.
Right.
Did Goff go to training camp? Did anybody even know the OTAs this year? Did he go so far?
Well,
I
honestly,
didn't hear he
I think
didn't
there's
go.
been a lot
So
more. Yeah, there's been a lot more people at training camp than expected.
The only reason that I asked that is because exactly what Chad just said there about the familiarity about Todd Gurley being there. Did they already have this guy in and have a bunch of 7-on-7 drills with him and realize Jared Goff really isn't who he thought he was? Having the opportunity to have a one-on-one practice with him and thought maybe the way to kind of shelter this guy, the way the Rams were doing, is bring in that familiarity of having Todd Gurley behind you who can assist in the pass block or be that leak out running back that where Jared Goff knows where he's going to be because he's played with him before. To me, it kind of is an eye-opening move. That's the way that I view it is maybe they've already had Goff in. They've given him some plays, let him run some 7-on-7s and realize we got to do some more to help this kid out.
Right.
they have no receivers, so you got to give them something.
That could very well be what's going on. And I don't think anyone here thinks that the Lions are going to be even like noteworthy to talk about. So that's probably about the most Lions we'll talk for the entire duration of the 2021 season. But good to get them in there.
Which is crazy. They're only 2 hours away from us, 3 hours away from us. And like nobody around here even cheers for them. I very rarely run into Lions fans for a reason.
I think I know the only 5 in London.
Yeah. And it's tough. It's tough to, like that. That's people like that. It's hard to even know how they get up in the morning. So let's, if you're a Lions fan, and you need to talk to somebody, reach out to us. Okay. Cause we have no problem. We'll bring you on here and we can even help pick you a new team. We've done that in the past. So
conversation is the best medicine. We're here for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's something that, it fired me up this morning and I don't really know why. Cause I didn't care for either one of these dudes, but we have this new uniform rule where you can change your jersey. We've beat that to, now until people get into OTAs, you don't really understand what's going on. Now I saw Mac Jones was wearing number like 77 or something.
50.
Like
they gave him 50. I love it.
which is
because he's built like a fucking old lineman.
They didn't know any better. They just gave him.
They saw his cup. They saw his cup size, and we're like, "Oh, this guy's definitely a lineman."
Yeah. So the two that pissed me off. So Jalen Smith for the Cowboys, obviously middle linebacker, great player. Have no problem with the player, but he's wearing number 9 for the Cowboys
all day.
So, you have no problem with that, Chad?
Tony Romo,
as you wear that Notre Dame sweater, right? All day, he can do whatever he wants.
It's not even just that, man. Tony Romo's like, what did he do for the Dallas Cowboys? If he came out and said, "I want to wear number 8," different story. Troy Aikman led them to 3 Super Bowls. Did Tony Romo even win a fucking playoff game?
I don't think so.
That's what I mean.
I know that he has a very memorable playoff game.
Yeah.
He dropped the fucking point.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything wrong with what he did in Dallas. Tony Romo's probably a better commentator, which I still can't stand him, than he was an NFL quarterback. He wasn't a bad quarterback. I'll say that. He had a good career. But as to say you can't wear his number in Dallas, or Jalen had to ask for permission, that's just a bullshit right there.
So you have no respect for a guy that'll go out there and break his back for you?
No.
Twice?
Yeah. I think it was 3 times. Tony Romo's also the same guy that took shots at Deion Sanders as a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Just like, why would I show you respect when you're nowhere near a fucking Hall of Famer?
Right.
And when you're taking shots at guys like that, that just shows the level of fucking loser that Tony Romo is, that he wanted someone to ask him for his number. Yeah. Get a life, you fucking deadbeat.
Did he actually come out and say he wanted somebody to ask him?
They haven't said that, but I'm assuming it was a conversation. There's no reason that Jalen Smith had no reason to reach out to Tony Romo. And if he did, there's no reason it should have ever made the news, because Tony Romo is not that relevant.
If anything, what this should have been, I'm going to put this more at fault on the Cowboys. This should have been one of those Cowboys Ring of Honor jersey numbers or something like that every team has. And maybe you retire, or maybe you at least talk about the retirement is happening. you also, when you receive that Jalen Smith walks into the equipment manager, I'm changing my jersey number or whatever, you as a team very well can say, you know what, we're going to probably talk internally about this potentially. Like it's not on Jalen. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission, I guess, in this case, right? He just went up and just said, here, can I get the number 9? He's asking for, they're going to say no. Okay, well, sorry, man. I didn't know I couldn't have it, right?
Yeah.
This is on the Cowboys. They should have retired that number. Truthfully, as a Cowboys fan, I'm not a Cowboys fan. If you were, you would really enjoy Tony Romo. You probably would have really liked him as a player. You probably would have thought pretty highly of him as a quarterback, especially since that's the only thing you've had since Troy Aikman. Like if you think about all the other quarterbacks that have gone through there. So
I think he's like the passing leader for the franchise, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So maybe you do find a little offense to that because you do enjoy Tony. But on the outside of as a non-Dallas fan looking in, of course, all three of us gonna be like, "Fuck, what do we care? That guy didn't do anything for football, like nationally. He just did it for the team." So
Chad is so disgusted by you, by the way.
I'm fucking wanting. Everything you're saying is just fucking nonsense.
Well, I mean, okay. Well,
Tony Romo's a fucking. I would say he's above average quarterback. That's as good as he is.
Well,
what did he do for the Dallas Cowboys?
When did Aikman retire?
What did he do for the Dallas Cowboys?
Was it like 96 or 97 that Aikman retired? So we're talking like 14, 15 years. I can think of like 3 quarterbacks or 4 quarterbacks during that time frame, and they were all because they were terrible.
I want to say that Aikman played into the 2000s.
Did he really?
I'm going to say that he was probably like 2000 or 2001 by the time he was out of there.
Jesus. I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, all I know is that Tony Romo deserves nothing. And the fact that we're even talking about this makes it even more embarrassing. Because that means that Dallas Cowboys wanted publicity and they got it. Over a guy that did nothing for your fucking franchise.
All right, well let's talk about one that maybe maybe might catch Chad's ear a little better. So Hollywood Brown has switched his number in Baltimore to 5. Which is Joe Flacco.
Take the floor, Chad. What do you think of that, buddy?
I feel the exact same way. Like, I don't see a problem with it whatsoever.
He won
Joe Flacco, fuck off. Their defense won him a Super Bowl.
That playoff run specifically was incredible, but their defense was good.
It made him a lot of money.
Are you going to tell me the next guy's to fucking go ask Trent Dilfer for his number? Stop it.
Yeah, do you think that Chris Godwin had to ask Brad Johnson for the number, Chad?
Yeah, not at all. Like, this whole number thing is such a fucking joke. I don't think there's too many numbers in football that should be untouchable. And I can tell you right now, both those 2 franchises, the numbers that got switched are perfectly fine.
Well,
and
I mean,
I'm a football fan, like in general, and I have no problem with this at all.
I mean, we could have talked about this 5 years ago when Ezekiel Elliott started wearing 21.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess
not one person said a word.
Yeah. Now, it's
well played, Shane. Well played.
The fucking quarterbacks. Everyone cares about the quarterbacks. And let's talk about a quarterback because our friend Tua Tagovailoa, I believe I said his name correctly.
You're a real big fan of his, right, Shane?
Yeah. You know how I felt about him. Now, in a press conference, he came out and said, hey, the reason I sucked last year is because I didn't know the playbook. So when I went in, they only had a couple plays and like I couldn't check and I couldn't do anything. So I just kind of ran stuff. And that's kind of why they took me out when it got to clutch time because I didn't know what I was doing. Now, I don't know, like, and Chad might have a different opinion as a coach. I don't know as a player in the locker room if I'd be sitting there thinking like, why the fuck is this guy going in? He doesn't even pay attention at practice. He doesn't even know what the fuck we're doing. Why would I do that? And why now are you coming out to say that?
I think the reason that Tua said it, and I'm throwing spitball and ideas here. He's holding himself accountable now. He's let the world know what his fault or drawback was last year. He's hopefully attacked that in the offseason. He's let his entire team and the football world know that what was going on. He's got to have a quick turnaround early, or we're going to suggest the same friggin' thing he's telling us right now. So that's the way I look at it. Maybe he's just trying to, I'm going to make sure that I have to put one step in front of the other from here on out.
Chad, how would you feel if one of your quarterbacks came out the year after a losing season and said that?
I think the biggest problem there is how the fuck did your coaching staff know? Like that's on the coaching staff. If I'm sitting there calling a play,
he's saying they knew and they put him out there and just called like basic plays.
well, that's pretty normal. Like I took it the wrong way then. But yeah, like I know when you put a young quarterback in, like if Ryan Fitzpatrick's fucking book was this big, Tua's is this big.
Yeah.
You're not letting him audible. You're calling the audible from the sideline or from the booth. That's why they have that headset in their helmet to the snap of the ball. So you can communicate. He's walking up to the line. He's probably counting the box, saying his numbers to the guy upstairs, and the audible is coming through them. But even then, that playbook, we'll say it's 35% of what a veteran quarterback's playbook would be. He hasn't seen enough to give a young kid a full playbook. Right. So yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. For him to come out and say that though, I think it's a easy way out.
Right.
I think it's more or less
for a bad rookie season.
Yeah, I think he come out and say I have a long way to go. I learned a lot last year. The playbook's expanding. I'm going to give myself a lot more options. I'm going to live in my playbook. I'm going to live in the facility. That way, you're still taking blame for what you didn't do last year, but you're also not just making up excuses. You're saying, like, you can say I was on a leash. Every fucking rookie quarterback is. Every backup quarterback's on that exact same leash. But all he has to come out and say is, I wasn't okay with my performance last year. I've dedicated my offseason to getting better, to being in my playbook and watching film and learning from my mistakes, learning all the different fronts that I saw. You come out and say that you didn't recognize things. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's being honest. But to come out and say, "Oh, I wasn't in my playbook," or "I didn't understand," or whatever the fuck he said, it just doesn't make sense when he could have just taken the blame and moved on.
Right. Yeah. No. And I think like he's basically asking fans for a clean slate and saying like, "Hey, this is why it was so bad last year. Like, don't worry, it'll be better this year." And a person that's going to make an excuse like that is going to make the excuse like that every year. But I did want to ask you guys something else before we got out of here, and I know that Liam's already texting us our heart out. But did you guys watch the Jays game this afternoon?
I watched a little bit of it, man. You might have a pitcher. You might have a pitcher.
We said about Ricky Rowe too, so let's not get carried away.
This guy's different though. So Ricky Rowe didn't have any movement on his pitches. He just happened to be the best pitcher on the shitty team. But it's Alex Manoah is his name. And today they're in a doubleheader, so they only played 7 innings today, which I fucking hate that rule, but whatever. I mean,
is that a new rule, by the way?
They started it last year.
Okay.
Because they were trying to do the condensed schedule with like all the 1-9 stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the kid pitched today, 6 innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. Like that's a solid line. But the question that I want to ask, because I'm going to ask the negative, does this set him up for failure down the road with Blue Jays fans?
To lose games?
No, just with the fans. Like, don't worry about the actual game or anything. Just like, does this set the expectation too high moving forward for him?
I think right now the expectation, if anybody can throw 3 consecutive strikes in Toronto, the expectation is this high now. So I think that he's going to be dealing with that for the next little while anyway. But he looks the part, man. I know it's 1 game, but he looked really, really good today.
Yeah, there was a different kind of poise out there, and like I said it a couple weeks ago that I didn't think that a guy like this or Pearson were going to be the answer, but I think that if this guy can actually stay up, they might have just had the best deadline acquisition of all time.
Right? Yeah, might be good.
The guy's not a Cy Young winner like right now, obviously, but there's no reason that this guy's not going to win 10 or 12 games, and that's already better. That's already better than what they had.
I think that's what the expectation has to be, though.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair. If you can come out and just win double-digit games and not lose double-digit games, I think that should be what the expectation is for him.
Right.
Unfortunately, we live in Canada and live in Ontario where if you're not winning 100 games and pitchers aren't winning 20 games, you suck.
Yeah.
And I hope the fan base lets him get the chance to grow properly. And I think that's the part that's going to set him up if he can deal with what Toronto fans are.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, and this is going to be the thing that we miss, and we'll finish it on this unless you guys have another thought. But because he's a swing and miss pitcher, he makes the defense look so much better.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like the games, like the offense in Toronto, we've talked about it. It's there. They just needed just a little bit of defense. And you mentioned it certainly makes the defense look better with a player like that. Winning just double digits, I know maybe he might have the chance to actually win 14, 15 games. He really could. If the team is playing
that's the expectation I'm talking about. We can't do that to him, Caleb.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I mean.
But the only thing that was holding them back specifically was the pitching. Their offense, we talked, is there. It is there. And if they have decent pitching, the rest of the team usually comes together. So
the thing to remember for like a young pitcher, and like today it was different, but they're not gonna let him go super deep into games. So there's gonna be situations where they pull him just so that he has confidence going into the next game, and he's not even gonna be in line for a decision. So putting like a win total on him is gonna be difficult. But let's cap it off there. We'll pick up next week because he might have another start by the time we chat again. So let's do that.
Before we leave, what's going on with Ohtani Watch? How's he playing still?
Man, the guy is unreal. And you know what? We're going to put Ohtani on for the slate for the next one because we're going to go for another 25 minutes if we don't. So let's put Ohtani on for the next episode, and we'll let him get a couple more games into him, and then we'll keep going. But thanks to Coolbet for crushing it on our parlays. And watch out for our boost on Saturday because I got a nice one coming for you guys. And cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers.